We finally have the full release for Scarlet EX and Violet EX over in Japan. Obviously, we normally get a combination of these sets, so it's going to be some combo of these cards, maybe some others, maybe not all of them. But let's take a look through them because they do involve all of the new Pokemon from the games you've been enjoying playing, plus some old ones. So let's take a look at them. I will link down below where you can see this. It is on pokebeach.com, so go over, check it out. I'm just very excited to have a look at some of these cards. Kicking us off, we've got Cacnea. It has got an ability, so we will take a look at this one. It says Counterattack Needles. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an opponent's attack, even if it's knocked out, put 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. That's not great. I was hoping more. However, Cacturne also has an ability. Again, the same name. Okay, the exact same ability. That's it's interesting. That's probably really good for like sealed play. Pre-release, dropping damage counters if you get knocked out. It's kind of good, especially if you're Cacturne, because you can do some damage with Spike Shot. Just regular card. Again with Go-Go, 30 plus 30. Yeah, nothing special there. Okay, so this is the first time we're seeing Smoliv. It's got Tackle, 30 damage. That's not bad, honestly. And then we've got another Smoliv, which heals 30 from one of your Pokemon. Not quite as nice, that one. And then we've got Doliv. All of the lives. We've got Oil Pour. During your opponent's next turn, if the defending Pokemon tries to attack, your opponent flips a coin. If tails, that attack doesn't happen. So you're not unaffected, so they can't get any effects from it. So for example, if it's like Arceus, he can't then attach energy. Obviously, it's a really weird attachment. It's a stage 1. Does 40 damage. It still actually does damage. That's kind of interesting. I don't think it's going to see any play, but that's definitely, yeah, it's definitely interesting. Then we've got ability, Fill Oil. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may heal all damage from one of your Pokemon. Now that doesn't say you have to heal this Pokemon, so you can just heal any Pokemon. So it's not terrible. It's a stage 2. The stage 1 is okay. Am I crazy thinking we might see this? I am, obviously. I don't think we will. Still kind of a cool ability. It's one of those you can build like a rogue deck around, or just a fun one for Pokemon League. Then we've got Talkal. That sun is doing my head in. Can you just see like a strip? It's so annoying. So Torkoal's got Concentrated Fire, 80 times damage. So flip a coin for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon. It does 80 times the number of heads. On a basic Pokemon with 130 for one prize, it's not terrible. I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's Talkal. You can't be mad at that. Oh, look at that. Now, here's what we're waiting for. Charcadet. And we've got Armarouge and what's the other one called? My favourite one. Oh, he's not there. He's probably not fire. He's probably going to be like Ghost. So we'll go through these first. So, 30, discarding energy. 60, it's not terrible. Armarouge. So let's have a look. Fire Alarm. As often as you like during your turn, you may move a fire energy attached to one of your bench Pokemon to your active. This means you can set up fire Pokemon instantly, which is pretty good. Obviously, you need to spread that energy around, then you can move it. This is going to make moving energy and healing quite effective in fire decks because we are getting some healing back with. There's definitely a supporter. We'll come to it later, I think, which basically lets you pick a Pokemon up. So if you can move that energy, pick them up for free without any really drawbacks. Or play something like a Max Potion or Hyper Potion. There's loads of good healing stuff. So, yeah, this could be quite interesting. It is only a stage 1 as well. So, I reckon this might actually see some play. It's sort of like Heatran's ability, but you can do it multiple times. So that's quite cool. Yeah, I think we might see some play. And this is one of my favourite Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet. So, super excited to see that in play. Then we've got regular old Magikarp, but you always love seeing a Magikarp. That is gorgeous art as well. Really like the art on this one. It's got Leap, flip a coin, if heads. This attack does 10 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. it's Magikarp all over that. Let's have a look at the Gyarados EX though, because that's what you're going to be evolving into. So it does Waterfall, which is 100 damage for 3 water, which is absolutely terrible. 3 water and 2 colorless, Tyrannical Tail, 180 plus damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon already has damage counters on it, this attack does 180 more. Now, we can easily get damage with stuff like Galarian Zigzagoon, Gapejaw Bog, things like that. It is 5 energy, so that's going to be 3 attachments, 4 attachments if you use a double turbo, but then you're losing damage. You can afford to lose damage because almost nothing in the format is going to have 340 health. You can throw a choice band on, so you're hitting 370. Yeah, double turbo is absolutely fine in this scenario. So let's say 4 attachments. It's a lot of turns, but you are just going to one-shot anything. The only worry is if it gets pulled up and knocked out before. So I know there is it's like a stealthy, which lets you be protected from that. So we might see this turned into a deck. I would love to see it. I love Gyarados, so that's kind of a cool card. And then we've just got some Weasel and Floatzel, not really doing a ton. We've got a Bruxish, which lets you search your deck for 3 basic energy, reveal them and put them into your hand. That's terrible. That's terrible for an attack. If it was like an ability when you drop it or something, that would be a lot more helpful. Maybe a little overpowered. We've got Wiglet and Wiglet again and Wugtrio. So Wugtrio says flip 3 coins for each heads. Discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. Okay, I think that might see some play. That's going to be annoying. It's similar to something like Durant, but it can always do 3. Obviously, it has to roll, which isn't great, or flip a coin even. It's also got 3 energy attachment. Again, water is very well supported, so I don't know, you could see something. Probably not, though. We've got Dondozo. One of, if not my favourite Pokemon from the new set. So Vent Wrath. 50 times damage. This attack does 50 damage for each Tatsugiri in your discard pile. So it can potentially max out at 200 for a Twin Energy with 160 health basic Pokemon. It's hard not to see this being a deck that can get set up so easily. There's so many ways to discard cards. Yeah, I'm definitely going to play this deck. It's definitely what I'm going to build for Pokemon League, if nothing else. Just a really interesting mechanic. It's always one I like playing. Let's see what Tatsugiri does, though, just in case it works with it. So you can search your deck for up to 2 basic water energy and attach them to one of your basic Pokemon. Then shuffle your deck. So you could get a Dondozo set up via this. Probably not worth it because then they're not going to knock it out. They're going to leave it on your bench. Yeah, that's a really cool combination though. So let's slide down here and take a look at Wattrel. So we've got Killer Wattrel as well. There's 50 to one of your bench. That's not great. No, I'm not a massive fan of that. It's only a stage 1, so okay, so here we are. We all know what this is. We've already seen Gardevoir EX previewed. We're going to take a look anyway. Psychic Embrace. As often as you like during your turn, you may attach a psychic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. If you do, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Obviously, you can't use it if it would knock out your Pokemon. It also does Miracle Force, 190, heal any special conditions, which, considering you can accelerate energy, the cost doesn't really matter too much. But obviously, you're going to be accelerating to other Pokemon. This isn't going to be your attacker. It is, however, going to be an absolute monster in the format. It's going to be one of the best decks, there's no doubt. Cards like this are always good. We used to have the Malamar that did a very similar thing. Yeah, this is going to be an absolute monster. It's got a ton of health, so you're probably not going to knock it out. It is stage 2. However, there is the Curlier from the other set, which is very useful. I think we actually get a secret rare version of it in this. So yeah, that deck is going to be an absolute monster. We've got Drifblim, which puts 8 damage counters for 3 psychic. Yeah, that's not happening. We've got Dedenne, Fido. Then we've got Dash Bun, which is obviously the evolve. Ability, Well-Baked Body. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's fire Pokemon. This Pokemon cannot be burned. That's very thematic. I quite like that. We've got Flittle. Ooh, hold on. 30 damage. Now it does 50 more for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. That could add up quickly. It's just very difficult to get set up. We got Meta-type, Medicham. Medicham's normally quite good. So for 1 fighting, we've got Bullseye Aim. Choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon attacks. Okay, so it's just going to stop them from using it. It does do 30 damage as well, so it's not terrible. That's kind of good. We've got Lucario with Vengeful Knuckles. 30 damage plus. If any of your fighting Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack your opponent's Pokemon during the last turn, this attack does 120 more. So it does 150 for 1 fighting. It's a good retaliation. if something gets knocked out. If you run a Lucario deck anyway, it might be good to have one of these just to take easy knockouts if you're getting knocked out. So I don't think the other Lucario was that great, honestly, but I wouldn't be surprised if they see some rogue deck play. We did have a good Lucario before. Maybe slip one of these in that deck. So it's got Voracious Bite, 50 damage. Flip a coin until you get tails for each heads. Discard an energy, which is pretty good. Again, it's that control deck type thing. And we've got Earthquake for 180. 30 to each of your bench. So if you need damage on your Pokemon, that's not bad. We've got Hawlucha with Flying Entry. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, during your turn, you may choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon and put 1 damage counter on each of them. So with Scoop Up Net, we can keep reusing this. We've seen stuff like Gyarados, which needs damage put down. So this is the perfect way to do it. It's just like a slightly better Zigzagoon because you get to do it on 2 Pokemon. So yeah, this could make a lot more decks viable. Stuff like that Gyarados we saw, maybe Hisui and Samurott could make a comeback or appear. It never really got going. That was always a deck I thought could be good, but just wasn't. We've got Violent Dustcloud on Sandaconda. Discard 2 energy from this Pokemon, then your opponent shuffles that active Pokemon and all cards attached into their deck. It's too much energy, I think. We've had versions of this, like I think Golduck did something very similar. He might have even discarded it, I can't remember. But yeah, that's a lot of energy. Yeah, that's not great. Okay, so we've got Great Tusk EX. I said Dondozo was up there for favorite. This probably is my favorite. So it does 40, discard a Stadium. Then it's got 250, 50 to itself. There is ways to get energy into play. We're going to look at it in a moment. It does end your turn to get the energy in play. So I guess you could do 2 the first turn, attach the next turn. So you could be swinging 250 turn 2. With a Choice Belt, you can knock out most Pokemon. By the time it's turn 2, they won't have evolved all the way up. So this could actually be... I wouldn't be surprised if this saw some play. Obviously, 50 damage isn't great, but there's ways to heal that if you really need to. Otherwise, it's just got a ton of health anyway. I would love this to see some play. It's not... Obviously, it's not a world beater. It's not an incredible attack. But yeah, so maybe see some play in Koraidon decks. So we're going to look at this next. It's got Dino Cry. Once during your turn, attach up to 2 basic fighting energy from your discard pile to your basic Pokemon in any way you like. If you use this, your turn ends. It's got Wild Impact for 220, and it can't attack next turn. So Great Tusk just has a better version of this attack, basically. So at least it's slightly better, but I don't know. We're probably going to find better fighting Pokemon. Then we've got Merc with the ability Poison Sacs. The special condition poisoned is not removed when your opponent's Pokemon evolve or de-evolve. Not many instances of de-evolution unless there's something in this set, so it's weird that they've stated that. I guess it needs to be on there. We do have Toxicroaky X. We haven't seen this yet, I don't think. So we've got Nasty Plot. Search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. Now, with Marnie going away, we are going to still have Judge, but this could actually be more useful for setup on early turns. Then we've got Toxic Ripper, 120. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Put 6 damage counters instead of 1 on the Pokemon between turns. It's stuff we normally see from Toxicroak, so the fact it does 120 and then the 6 is actually quite good because you can 2-hit a lot of Pokemon. It's just the attachment again. We might be going that way where we need more energy to attack, just to kind of lower the power creep, which I would be all on board with. Obviously, with current stuff, though, it just makes it a little more difficult. We've still got stuff like Arceus, so it is still doable. Let's take a look at King Gambit, the first version of this card. So the ability Generalship. As long as this Pokemon is in play, the attacks of your basic Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active. So that's really good. It's just that it's a stage 2. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be used because of that reason. We've got Varoom. Oh no. I wasn't a fan of this Pokemon at all. It doesn't even feel like a Pokemon. It's got the ability Rumbling Engine though. You may discard an energy from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Okay, that's kind of annoying because that's probably going to be used. Not only do you get a chance to thin your hand via energy, so you can draw more cards, it's drawing 6 instead of 5. Obviously, Bibarel was huge. You don't need to discard to use Bibarel, which is a bonus, but you do get the extra card, the chance to thin your hand. So I would be shocked if this doesn't see some play. Yeah, obviously it's nowhere near as good because you need to discard. But the fact that you can discard, draw more cards because it's 6 instead of 5, yeah, this will see some play for sure. We've got just some regular normal Pokemon, not really offering much. You can do 60 and then prevent damage. Pretty good for Staraptor. We've got Lechong. What's he doing? Your opponent switches their active one on their bench. Repulsive Stench. Okay. We got Whimsy Tackle. There's 70. Flip a coin. It might do nothing. Oh, okay. So the Evolve actually got an EX. It's got Fragrance Fury. 10 plus damage. This attack does 30 more damage for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That can only do 160. But it is for 1 energy. So that's not bad. Throw Choice Belt on. That's 190. And it's got a ton of health. 260 is pretty beefy. We got 210 damage. Flip a coin if heads. This Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. There's ways around that with switching things, so that's not that bad. It looks like we're moving into some supporters and trainers now. So we've got Powerpad being reprinted, which is huge. Massive card currently in the format, able to reuse some of those supporters back into your deck. We've got Nestball, which is going to be our replacement for what's its name? Quick Ball, obviously. So not quite as good, but still useful. We have also looked at Rock Chest Plate before, but we'll just go through it. So fighting Pokemon it's attached to take 30 less damage. So for those tanky decks you want to build fighting Pokemon around, not actually a bad choice. Experience share again is back, so yeah, it just works like before. So when your active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you may move 1 basic energy that was attached to that Pokemon to the Pokemon this is attached to. So yeah, it's just to keep your energy in play. This will definitely see some play. There's decks that need it. No doubt we will see that. Defiant Band, though. If you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, the attacks of this Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active. So the benefit of this over Choice Belt is it can attack into single prizes and still get that extra 30. The disadvantage is you need to be behind. So yeah, it's nowhere near as good as Choice Belt. Again, some other cards we've already seen on the channel, but we will go through them. Search your deck for up to 2 evolution Pokemon, reveal them and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. This is a supporter though, so it's kind of... I do think it will see play though, because we are going to lose Evo Incense. We've got Ultra Ball still, but yeah, this could see some play. We've got Team Star Grunt, put an energy attached to your opponent's active on top of their deck. So not only are you stopping them drawing a top deck they need, you also remove an energy. That's actually really good, and that's definitely going to see some play in some control decks. Professor Research reprint, which is fairly standard. We've got Penny. This is the one I was on about. So return one of your basic Pokemon in play and all cards attached to your hand. With that, Armarouge can move the fire away. Just pick up with this so you don't have to take all your fire energy out of play. And then finally, we've got Beach Court, one that I've not seen. The retreat cost of each player's basic Pokemon is 1 less. This is absolutely going to see some play. It's just helping retreat. We lose stuff like air balloons, so no doubt in decks where you haven't got a designated stadium or a stadium you need, you're probably going to use this. And that was just Scarlet translations. Wow. There is a lot of cards. I'm just looking at the side here on the bar scrolling down, and the bar is tiny, so let's go through the Violet versions. So I will just try and find the important ones here. So Scatterbug and Spewper can evolve the turn they come into play and the first turn. So let's take a look at the stage 2, because there was a Butterfree that did this and it was actually quite good. So Miracle Power, 50 damage, flip a coin if heads. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now affected by 1 special condition of your choice. And then it's got Bug Buzz for 110. We could see some decks try this, try and evolve up quickly, try and hit, try and maybe put some special conditions out there. I think we need a slightly better version to do this. The Butterfree we had before was a lot better, so, and that saw some play, but mainly the age stuff like Miltank. God, that was a long time ago now I played that. Let's take a look. So we have got a spiedup EX. So its ability, Trap Territory. Your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost is 1 more, and then it does 90 plus. This attack does 30 more damage for each energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. So your ability takes that up. You can play stuff like Galar Mine to get it up even more. So this could actually be quite good. It's only 2 energy to attack as well. So that could be interesting, especially in control decks where you're trying to trap your opponent's Pokemon. That would be interesting to see. What else we got here? We got Toadscruel. We got 30 damage. You may choose an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon and move it to one of their bench Pokemon. So there is a current card that does this. Rabombe, I think it is. I do play it in my Zoroark deck, so I'm going to play this instead now because I think that's about to rotate. So I'm glad we've got a replacement for that though, because this is a nasty, nasty attack, especially in control versions with like hammers and other stuff. Makes it really difficult to have the energy where you need it. Obviously, if it's trapped on a Pokemon, it's just not very helpful. Obviously not as good now with Penny, as they are able to pick stuff up and reuse it. So let's take a look at Scoverland. It's got Super Hot Yeehaw, 90 plus damage. If this Pokemon has any fire energy attached, it does 90 more, so that's 180. We've got Arcanine EX, which we've already seen. We'll go through it quickly. 30 plus damage, 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. You can stack damage on it via Gape Bog and other things. And then it's got Bright Flame 250, discard 2 energy. It's okay. It's not going to be a world beater, but we do have ways to get the energy moved around. So maybe we do see some play from Arcanine. I would love to see that. Massive Arcanine fan. We've got a Slowbro, Strange Behavior. As often as you like during your turn, you may move a damage counter from one of your Pokemon to this Pokemon. Now, we did have this ability before with the same name, I think. And stuff like this is normally quite good. You can move all your damage and just heal it off a Pokemon. It's only got 100 health, so you do need to be careful. Maybe. What else have we got? We've got a Titan. Sweeping Tackle 200 minus. Attack is reduced by 20 for each damage counter. Still pretty good. It's a lot of energy, but... And we've got Magnazone, which we have already seen previewed, so it does 50 damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. For 1 energy, that's going to be an absolute monster deck. Electric has a ton of support in these sets, so yeah, definitely pick these up if you can. We've got Pachirisu, can't be paralyzed. We have got a Pawmot. I do really like this Pokemon, so we'll take a quick look. Charge up. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a basic lightning energy and attach it to this Pokemon. Then shuffle your deck. It can do 230 damage on a single prizer. Is nothing to scoff at. Obviously, it's a stage 2. It can help itself set up with lightning energy though, so that's pretty good. And the reason lightning is going to be so good, Miraidon. We've got Tandem Unit. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for 2 basic lightning Pokemon and put them onto your bench. This one only shuffles your deck. It doesn't end your turn, so this is going to be a monster. You're going to be able to set up turn 1. Lightning decks are going to be so consistent, and this is the reason why. So if you're looking at a type moving into this format, lightning is definitely the one to keep an eye on. Outside of that, we've got a Banette EX. I absolutely love Banette. So it does 30 damage with Eternal Darkness. Your opponent can't play item cards from their hand. Item lock. Okay, so we've got Quaking Punch for just the psychic energy, basically. And then we've got Poltergeist. Look at your opponent's hand. 60 for each trainer card in your opponent's hand. So it stops them from playing, and very similar to something like Mimikyu and Gengar. And then you can punish them for having all those trainer cards in their hand. I'm going to play this deck. I absolutely love Item Lock. I absolutely love this Poltergeist attack. Feels very much like Gengar and Mimikyu, which I love. Was it Trevenant and Dusknoir? I can't remember. One of them had the attack. I think it was Horror House. I'm sure it was Gengar. Either way, one of my favorite ghost Pokemon. Really cool attacks. This is a deck I'm going to build around, and a deck you will need to be aware of because, yeah, Item Lock is always good, especially with Choice Belt. You can be doing 60. Then we've got stuff like Hawlucha to add more damage. Pick it up and reuse it. Poisons. There's going to be so many ways to add up damage now in the game. This is going to be good. We've got Florges, which, as long as this Pokemon is played, you have no weakness. It's a stage 2, so it's just not going to be used. We've got Clef Key. Ability Prank Lock. As long as this Pokemon is active, each player's basic Pokemon in play have no abilities. Now, it can be switched out, so you can boss around it to get your abilities back. This is something like Empoleon V currently. That is going to be an absolute monster. Going to be so annoying for like Lost Zone decks. Well, a ton of decks. There's so many Pokemon that use abilities as the new Miraidons. Yeah, that's going to be very annoying. So we've already seen these graveyards, but I'll go through them quickly. So it does 10 damage for each psychic Pokemon in your discard, which could be interesting. And then we've got Hound Stone as well. 80 damage, 10 damage for each psychic Pokemon in your discard. So it keeps up the same theme. So you can attack when you're graveyard. and then Hound Stone. So this is going to be quite good. Yeah, I definitely think we'll see decks built around this. It's just 80 and then you get the 10. Yeah, that's going to be a ton of damage. Got Choice Belt and other things to add it up. I think we could see a rogue deck around this. I don't know if we'll see it at like tournaments and stuff, but Pokemon League for sure. So we've got our first Annihilate and Rage Fish. There's a 70 for each prize card already taken by your opponent. That's really good. That's really, really good for one fighting energy. No, yeah, that should be a stage 2. So yeah, probably not going to see much play, unfortunately. Very cool attack though. Okay, so we've got Iron Treads. This does 30 to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon, so spread decks are back. Then it does 160, switch this with one of your bench Pokemon. That's a ton of energy. Probably going to be used for triple laser if it's used at all, but yeah, I can't see this being used. Got Chansey, remove special conditions. Just keeping an eye out in cases. There's 70 for each of your mouse hold in play. For a double, that's not bad. Obviously, you can only have 4, so we're maxing out at 280, but with a choice bar, it's 310. 280 already is a V-Star knockout, so this actually might be quite good, but they obviously need to be evolved up to do it. No doubt it could see some play though. So here's the electricity generator we spoke about. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 2 basic lightning energy and attach them to your bench lightning Pokemon in any way you like. This is why lightning is going to be so good. It's got Miraidon, it's got this, it's got the attacker in Magnazone. It's got a lot of stuff going for it. Ultra Ball reprint, which is good. Got Picnic Basket, heal 30 damage from all Pokemon in play. You and your opponents. Rare Candy reprints, Rocky Helmet reprints. Using this card ends your turn. Shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 8 cards. It's not a terrible way to finish your turn. There was a Stadium which did this and only drew 5, I think. So this is slightly better. So just use it at the end of your turn once you're set up. It's not bad. We've got another research, obviously. We've got Arven. Search your deck for an item card and Pokemon tool. Maybe see some play. We've got Miriam. Choose up to 5 Pokemon cards from your discard pile, reveal them and shuffle them into your deck, then draw 3 cards. That's actually really good. So we're getting the support of like a Clara, then we're also getting 3 cards as well. This is actually slightly better than Clara. I know you don't get the energy, but normally it's the Pokemon you're going for anyway. And obviously you draw 3 cards as well. So actually this is quite a good card. And then we've got Messagosa with once during each player's turn, that player may flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for a Pokemon card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Now, we have lost Quick Ball. And I know Nest Ball is going to be some of a replacement. This means we can put it into our hand so we can play it. So stuff like a Crobat or a Luminion, we can actually use the effect of. So I will just scroll through these briefly whilst I talk. These are other cards in other sets. So stuff like, it mentions there, different EX boxes, theme decks, all of that other stuff. We have seen some of these before. We are obviously getting some of these cards for the first time. It's got some of the evolves. You can see a Crushing Hammer coming up though, which is worrying with all the control stuff coming. Hopefully you've enjoyed looking through all these new cards. I'm super excited for the next set. Let me know your favorite card from this set in the comments below. That's all I've got for this episode though, so I will catch you in the next one.